When you're lost, take your trust. That's me. That's so sick. I'm a fraud, call me a liar. A true psycho. Ooh, I'm a fraud, call me a liar. A true psychopath, don't love me. When you're lost, take your trust. Yeah, that's me. Oh, that's me, that's me, that's me. Yes, I'm a fraud. Call me a liar. A true psychopath.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. I hope everybody had a good day. I had a busy one, working on some things for you guys. I'm so glad to see everybody. I don't want to drag it out too long. I just want to say hi, hello, welcome. Teacup Kraken, thank you so much for gifting a membership. And Pointer Lover, thank you for becoming a member. Welcome to the ward. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up the girls and we're going to talk about this trial. All right, here we go. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thanks for coming.
I'm just so excited that you're here with us tonight because, yeah, you know the case so well, and I know you've been covering it for a long time. I know Jen's really looking forward to it, too. So, yeah, I'm doing really good, too.
Oh, good.
Happy to be
Good.
here.
Where should we start, girls? What do you think? Where do you want to start?
Why don't we start at the beginning with Adam not showing up because of the, the strip search and all of that.
All right.
I'm curious what Sleuth Mom thinks about that, and yeah.
Me too.
Honestly, I'm kind of between two things. First of all, he's a control freak, right? So he always has to be in control of everything. So I think that probably played a part of it, just to be difficult. But also, my mind has always wondered: was he going to try to escape? Did he have something planned? I mean, he has nothing else to lose. He's never getting out. And so why was it such a big deal this time that they were going to strip search him?
Right.
That makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. I mean, yes, he is a control freak, but I'm with you. I'm not 100% sold that that's what it is about. That it's only about him exercising the only measure of control he has. And before I forget, Rachel, thank you for becoming a member, but also Sleuth Mom hit an important milestone today. Congratulations, ma'am, on 10K.
Oh,
well
thank
done.
Thank
Well
you so
done.
much.
Exciting.
That's a big deal.
I honestly, I couldn't have done it without everybody's support over the last 2 years and stuff like that. It's taken me a while to get there, but mostly because I kind of stick to myself and just kind of do my own thing. And I know that tends to make things go a little bit slower, but I'm okay with it. We're finally there, finally to multiple digits, and I'm just really excited. Mostly excited about the fundraiser aspect. I can't wait to be able to do fundraisers.
Yes, that's what I'm trying. That's what I say. I mean, 10,000 is a big milestone, but it's because I want to do a fundraiser. That's what I'm excited
awesome.
for.
We've done a couple on my channel, and we need to do more, but yeah, I can't wait for you to do one too. And you know what? It's well deserved. I'm sorry, but like I said this during my live today, but Sleuth Mom's coverage of these cases is so respectful, and it's not like blaming the parents and like digging into all the rumors. And because there are moments, and I was talking to Jen about this last night actually. Sometimes I don't know, I just get so like kind of depressed, and I almost wonder if it's like the right thing for me to do true crime, like, because it can get so nasty. So it's just so nice to see other creators that are not doing that and are trying to do it like the respectful way. I just appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you. I do know somebody told me whenever, because I used to get worried about that all the time, Alex, and somebody had told me that it goes in waves. People will want the drama and want the nitty gritty and things like that. And then out of nowhere, it flips and they want drama free. They want the facts. They want stuff like that. And so if you're feeling down and
Right.
like you're stuck in that rut right now, just wait, because, a couple months from now, it'll be right back to people being sick of families getting attacked and sick of
Yeah,
watching the gross stuff that goes on, honestly.
you're right. I
Agreed.
know, but it's just, yeah, it can just be, ugh, I don't know. But before I forget to say, as far as Adam, like not wanting to go, at first I was wondering if it was like strategy or something, because he shows up on day one. We hear he's looking at every juror in the eyes, and very like attentive, looking them up and down, and walking in the courtroom, sticking his tongue out and smiling and just like strutting, full on strutting. Um, so I wondered, like, why would he do that and then just refuse it? Then we find out about the strip search, but after that, he still didn't come. And I'm like, okay, Kayla's testifying. Maybe it's strategy. I had all these different ideas. Now I just don't even know what to think. I wonder if he's going to come at all. Do you guys think he will end up showing up at all? I know I've asked you, Jim, but your mind could change anyway. So yeah, what do you guys think?
I'm gonna let Sleuth Mom answer this one, and then I'm gonna answer.
So
Okay.
I was on the same boat as you, is thinking like, strategy after a certain point, because of I watched the gun trial. Like, we watched that on my channel, and he could not control his facial expressions throughout the entire thing. He looked into the audience constantly at Crystal, giving her like mean mugs. He stared down some of the jurors. Like, he was constantly looking at the different witnesses, and you can just see like his anger in his face, some of the stuff that they were saying. And so to me, I thought maybe the defense is like, hey, we're going to make him stay away, and then we'll bring him in at the very end and have him testify and tell his side of the story. Because in my opinion, nobody's going to believe his quote unquote side of the story unless it comes from him. I'm not going to believe it from Elaine, as you guys call her over here. It's not happening.
Right. See, that's where I'm at with it.
I'm sorry.
It's not just Elaine, because
you guys call it
her name is Bootleg Elaine, because she's not quite as good as Elaine Bettencroft at making Elaine, the real Elaine. Yikes on bikes. Whenever she would get objected to, her argument back was, I said, what was it always? Because it was always about here. What if anything? That was always that was always her response to an objection of hearsay. I said, what if anything? Like, that's not an argument, Elaine. That's not a legal, it's not a legal argument. Lord have mercy. I think with Adam, I think it is the fact, I do think it's strategic. I do think that he knew, look, he's been to jail. He's been in prison. Welcome, Adrian. Thank you for joining memberships. He knows the deal. He knows that he has to be strip searched. What? He just felt like this. No, today. I mean, come on. I think that it is a bit of strategy. I do think that the jury, if they're going, and that seems to be what they're doing, if they're going to point the finger at Kayla, and that is their defense, which is technically the alternate suspect defense, the jury expects to hear from him. There's nobody there were only, there were only 2 adults in that vehicle that day. If it happened when Kayla says it did, right? Regardless, I think even if it didn't happen exactly when Kayla says it did, there were only 2 adults. And so if he's going to point the finger at Kayla, I do think that the jury expects to hear from him. And I think it's going to be a huge fucking dumpster fire. Now, I think he'll do fine on direct, because most people do. They're usually prepped.
Right.
To visit with his attorneys and go over trial strategy.
You cut out.
And potentially him testifying.
We heard,
and
Wendy,
I think he'll do
we
just.
didn't hear you. Can you hear me?
I wasn't sure if it was just on my end or not. No, we missed half of what you said there.
Yep. We heard they're usually prepped. They'll do fine on direct, and then it cut out. Hey,
Oh, I wonder if she can't
guys
hear
in
us.
the chat. I don't know. I wonder what's going on. Jim.
She's right, though. If he does get on that stand, it's going to be a mess. But then it'll give us a whole nother timeline. And so we'll just have timeline number 600 added to the mix. Like, there's just so many different alternate versions of events.
I know one of my friends, and she's modding for me, Mayla's mom, she's like trying to make timelines from everything said in court. And she's like, oh my gosh, like, because it's very confusing. Things are not like always adding up, and there's just so much. But I agree though about him getting on the stand. I think that, potentially, I think that he could raise some reasonable doubt, because just looking at like people's opinions, there are many people who don't necessarily believe Kayla. I think that the last witnesses that weren't like the property manager, some of those made her story a little more credible. However, he's already admitted to most of the things that they have evidence for. So I think if he could hold his temper and compose himself, he could potentially raise reasonable doubt. No, I'm not saying necessarily like with me. I don't know what I even think at this point, but you know what I mean, with the general public, or with the jury, which by looking at the general public, there are opinions all over. I just don't know if he will get on the stand.
Right. And I agree with that, because they're going into this with no background knowledge, supposedly, right? It's hard to think of people locally not knowing about the case, but they're going into this with a blank slate, and all they're hearing is that Kayla is a liar. And then Kayla gets on the stand Friday, tells one story, gets on the stand Monday and tells a completely different. And so to me, that would stand out to me as a juror, that you're presenting her as a liar, and then I watched her in real time lie. And then we've never seen Adam lie as a juror from the outside looking in, and the entire case becomes just he said, she said, and where is the proof of murder?
Oh my gosh, that is so true. Jen, are you back?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. It was, so you cut out.
Okay.
We heard you say people usually do good on direct, that they have they're prepped for that, and then we lost you.
Okay, so what I said after that, sorry about that, you guys. I don't know what's going on with the internet. Is everybody having internet issues, or is it just directly located over my home? It's very frustrating.
I always have them. You know that.
I think it's just a cloud at your house. No, I'm just...
Son of a... First the Dubuque, and now the internet. What the F? Okay. So anyway, yes, people typically do good on direct. It's cross-examination. I think Adam is going to fall apart. I think that I think they're going to have the district attorney, the taller district attorney. I think they're going to have him do the questioning should Adam take the stand. And I think his goal is going to be to needle Adam in such a way that it evokes and elicits an angry response, because what he really wants the jury to see is Adam's rage. So that's why it's a dicey proposition for any defendant ever really to take the stand. It's never really a good idea. But if you're going with this theory that Kayla is the person that actually did this, and what Adam did, as bad as it is, right, this is his defense, he didn't actually unalive Harmony. What he did was clean up after the fact, as disgusting and distasteful as those details are, just alone.
Right.
I think the jury expects to hear from him. And I was thinking, listening to what you said, Sleuth Mom, about it becoming a he said, she said. And I was thinking about what we actually have heard so far. And we've heard and seen Kayla, they've called her a liar. She's admitted she's a liar, and then she's lied. But on the flip side of that, what we've heard from other witnesses is testimony of remorse. As I can't even believe those words are coming out of my mouth, but I know we know more than what the jury should know, right? So I'm trying to take like 11 billion steps back and think about it. If I knew nothing about this case, I only heard the testimony in the courtroom, which is what the jury's job is supposed to be, right? How would I regard this testimony? Because I don't think the forensics is going to play into it. They can't really prove with the forensics that a murder happened, right? They can't. Obviously, I mean, it could have been an accident regardless. But at the end of the day, there's no actual physical evidence of a murder. There is only Kayla's testimony. So I don't know. I don't think that the jury is going to find him not guilty of the murder, because I just what regrets would you have? I fucked up. I mean, you can take that a million different ways. I don't know. I'm not as confident as I was before. I kind of think, I don't know that there's a whole lot of reasonable doubt. The state's not done. And we don't know anything about this quote unquote surprise tip caller in her, so
Right.
I don't know that.
Well, we also heard that he missed her, but for me, and I think, like, because this is one of Sleeth's mom's points, they have done nothing to prove the murder. There is no evidence that proves murder at this point. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's just, so, I don't know, but speaking of that tip, since you mentioned it, like, oh my gosh, you guys, I just cannot wait to hear. I want to know about this. I find that so bizarre. You're watching the trial and that's when you decide to call a tip. And like, you don't call before now, but you know about it because you're watching it. I don't know. It's very weird. The circumstances are weird. I've never seen anything like that before.
It could have been
Have
something
you
they
guys ever
heard
seen?
though, because think about it, on that day, I think it was Tuesday, right? That
Mhm.
Yeah,
this was called in. It was Kayla's mom testified, and the drug dealer testified. And so, what did they say in their testimony that like triggered something in somebody's head? And
right.
I want to point out that I showed an interview on my channel while we were watching this. Kayla's mom came out right after everything happened, whenever Harmony was first reported missing, and did an interview. And she said that she was reminded of the timeline by Kayla. And that has stood out to me the whole time, because over the last 2 years, because how do we know her mom is telling the truth about this first time she ever met Harmony just happens to be in the time period that she likely was unalived? It's very weird that she has basically this testimony of when Harmony was alive for them. And, I don't know obviously what the tip was, but stuff like that, little details, like, I'm wondering what that triggered in somebody's head. What did they see? And I hope that we get to hear it, honestly.
Me too.
I
And
do
you
too.
are 100% correct, Sleuth Mom. Kayla's mother's testimony about the timeline is very problematic for the state, because it is not an independent account. She had help remembering when she's, because like you said, I watched that interview that you're talking about, and she was told the timeline essentially by Kayla. Oh, thank you, Abels, for gifting memberships. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Starlight Angel, thank you also. Welcome, Adrian Watkins. I have to try to it's a lot of work to pay attention to all the things. Y'all know I get distracted.
I think you were actually out, so it wasn't
Teresa.
your fault this time. I think you were in limbo whenever it happened.
Okay, good. Thank you, guys, for that. I appreciate that so much. But like I said, I think that, and what I will say is, how come Bootleg Elaine didn't press her mother on that? Why didn't she take her to task for the details coming from Kayla and not really from her? Like, it's not an independent memory. If somebody has to tell you, then you didn't remember it. Do you know what I mean? Hey, criminality, good to see you, babe.
Well, I haven't seen that interview, so I can't. I mean, I probably have years ago. I remember after it first happened, did like Kayla's sister or somebody like that also do an interview? Like
So
her, not her.
Crystal's sister did an interview.
Oh, okay. I remember watching like some of that stuff, but I don't like remember the one with her mom, with Kayla's mom.
It was only a few minutes long, and literally she says, I know that the dates are between December 6th and November the 30th because Kayla reminded me that they were here on the 30th and then they moved in with me on the 6th. And then we see that the accident or one of the vehicle, the battery dying, was on the 7th going into the 8th. And so the 6th doesn't fit. And then we see that the other accident was on the 29th and Harmony wasn't in that car for some reason. So where was she on the 29th? I wish they would focus
Right.
more on stuff like that, because not that I want the defense to be able to discredit Kayla, but at the same time, I do want the defense to be able to discredit Kayla because I don't want her to have this deal anymore. So I wish that they would hammer more on these lies that or these mismemories so that Adam can get buried under the jail and Kayla can also go there with him.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Chase,
Yeah.
that's Sleuth Mom at the bottom. She has a great channel. If one of the mods would do me a huge favor and drop Sleuth Mom's channel, I would so much appreciate. Oh, Wolfie got it. Thank you, Wolfie. You the best. I agree with you. They need to. This is what I would like to happen. Ideally, I want the defense to discredit Kayla just enough where Adam gets convicted and yet Kayla loses her deal. That would be the ideal scenario for me.
Yeah, well, that's about like that's where I'm at because I definitely think that Adam played a role in this, but I don't think he was alone. And I think that it eats me alive, like just the situation that we're in now. Because number one, it's second-degree murder, and that just bothers me. And I know why, but it still bothers me because I know that she deserves more. Harmony deserves more than that, and they both deserve to be there, sitting as defendants, in my opinion.
Yeah, they do.
But
I have a question for you, Jen, because I'm curious your thoughts on this.
Okay.
Did you see the drug dealer's testimony? Anthony Bonero. I probably shouldn't refer to him
Yes.
as drug dealer.
Yes, I did. Well, look, I probably shouldn't call Miss Smith Bootleg Elaine, but here we
Right.
are.
True. But so I'm curious what your thoughts were about the fact that he couldn't remember any dates that he did or like I don't remember whenever I sold them this. I don't remember whenever I did that. I don't remember. And then the week that they inquired about Harmony's disappearance or potential murder, he's like, well, I know I didn't sell them drugs that week. Like, he was very insistent that he knows for sure, without a doubt, that week he knows he didn't sell them drugs.
Memory is a funny thing, but it's not that funny. And I find it interesting. Everybody in this situation seems to have convenient lapses in memory. Not the people that not everybody. I shouldn't say that, but like Anthony Badero, Kayla definitely has some real convenient I don't remembers. And I think that I think that's problematic. I potentially problematic because I mean,
They didn't dismiss him either. The defense
no,
didn't let him get dismissed, and I think they're gonna drill more into that. And so that's why I was bringing it up, because I think that's going to play a part this next week.
Yeah, see, I think I have to agree with you. See, Allie and I were talking about this the other night. The defense, while they have two separate witnesses just on their own, right, that are not witnesses for the state in any way, shape, or form, they reserve the right to call state witnesses. And excuse me, I think they are going to be putting some of the witnesses that were for the state, like Anthony Badero, Kayla, back on the stand.
Well, let
And I
me ask
think
you
they're going
something.
to drill into that. Yes. Thank you, El Bergs, for the super sticker. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am, Allie. Ask away.
Do they only okay? So they can only call you. You said they reserve the right to call the state's witnesses, but only the ones that they've said, they've made it clear that they don't want released from the subpoena. Like the people who they've said that can be released from it, they can't call them back, right?
Correct, because once they're released, they have permission to start watching the trial, and they can like go back and look at testimonies and different things like that.
Okay.
And so if they stay under the subpoena, they are just like the jury. They can't look at anything. That's why they always have family pretty much testify
Okay.
first, so that the
Right.
family can then sit in the courtrooms and stuff.
Like with Al and Letitia, didn't they do like that's what basically, or one of, no, I'm sorry, it was Lori Vallow. It was during that trial they had Kay go first because that way she could sit and watch.
Right. Same thing similar happened in Gannon's trial as well. They put Albert on the stand right away.
Yeah.
And so that way he could be in the courtroom, since he was going to be such a key witness.
Right. Yeah. I remember he was like one of the first ones, if not the first. Jen, are you there? Oh
I was just
no.
getting ready to say, I think we lost her again.
She'll be back. Let me think. I've got so many things that I could ask about this, so let me think of some. Okay, what do you think about Crystal's testimony, and not necessarily only her testimony, but just the whole situation? Like, and it's a good time to mention that, you know, that Crystal had said that she had court the same day that with Harmony as with Jameson in a different place. They were being adopted on the same day, and that's why, you know, it happened. Now, haven't you said before that Crystal played a role in Harmony going to Adam?
So this is something that we have with the Millers been trying to clear up since the beginning, because her saying this is not new. She has since the beginning tried to say that she was at Jameson's adoption, and that's why she couldn't be there for Harmony. So what actually happened was in February, because Jameson obviously was not adopted until November. I know you've seen that post that the Millers put out on Twitter.
Yeah.
And so in February, whenever Harmony had her date to go with Adam, Crystal's lawyer showed up and advocated for Harmony to go with Adam. Crystal did not oppose that. Now, it is true that she had court the same day for Jameson, in that later that day she had to be at a hearing for him, but Jameson's was scheduled after lunch. Harmony's was scheduled at the beginning of the day, and Jameson's, her lawyer went and requested a continuance. So she didn't really even have to be there for that, because they were requesting a continuance. So Harmony's case was the important one that day that she needed to attend. But Harmony's was being seen in Essex County Courthouse, and Jameson's was being seen in Suffolk County Courthouse. And so they are a 30-minute drive away. But again, Harmony's was in the morning, Jameson's was in the afternoon, and her lawyer was able to attend both. So why was she not able to attend both? So she did not go to court for Harmony that morning, though. And part of what I was told was it was because Adam and Crystal were still getting along at that point, and they were on good terms. And so for Crystal, in her mind, it was better for Harmony to go with Adam, because then she would get to see him.
I
or
knew it
get
was
to see
something
her.
like that.
Yeah.
Yes, I knew it was something like that because I had heard you on your stream say, her attorney advocated for Harmony to go with Adam, and I just thought, I bet you that Kayla thought, that would be better for her in the
Mhm.
situation and how much she could contact Harmony. Oh my God almighty.
The Millers are
Or did
set
I say
on
Kayla?
making
I meant
sure that
Crystal.
yeah, you did. It's okay. But the Millers are set on making sure that this is clear because they don't want Jameson to look back on information whenever it all comes out and say, "Oh my god, I'm the reason that my sister
Mm-hmm.
died." And she is
Mm-hmm.
on court
Oh
TV,
my
she has
God.
Vinny saying this, and, like, Blair's people have reached out to Vinny and their people and asked them to please stop saying that sentence because it is not true. They have all of the documents. The only person who could prove her wrong is, of course, the Millers, because these are sealed files as far as Jameson's adoption and his court records and things
Right.
like that. But they do have those documentations. They have made me privy to this knowledge. And like I said, this is something we clarified almost 2 years ago whenever she started, but, new people covering the case, new faces, new publicity, and Crystal just thinks it's okay to go out and spin the untruths again. And so they just wanna
Yeah.
make sure that Jameson, for his sake, he can look back and not feel responsible for his sister's death because it has nothing to do with him or for his adoption. Absolutely nothing to do with it. They weren't even matched with Jameson until June of 2019. And so again, nothing to do with the court that she supposedly went to.
Well, I wonder why she spins that
Mm-mm-mm.
narrative to try to take some of like the blame off of herself or something like that. Just, I don't know.
So
I
Crystal and I have a love-hate relationship. I feel bad just simply because of the fact that she lost her child, right? There's that natural, like, wow, I'm sorry that this is going on in your life, but she's struggles to face the truth of her own past, I think. Like, she does not want to accept the fact that she wasn't there for Harmony. She doesn't want to accept the fact that she was only there for her for 14 months out of her entire life. She wants to try to make people perceive that she was a better mother than what she was. I mean, even after Jameson was with the Millers and adopted, she would still upload pictures of Jameson as if she still had custody of him. Most of her family had no idea that she lost custody of Jameson until all of this came out with Harmony. And so
Oh my God.
is she?
Wow. I had no idea about that stuff. Teresa made a good point. She says maybe, or she was still using and can't remember can't remember SHIT. Oh my
so
gosh.
this is
Mm.
true, Jane Bond. I was informed of this a little bit ago, not today, but like a couple weeks ago. And she did file officially to try to make sure that the state can proclaim her deceased so that she can file a wrongful death lawsuit. And whenever she filed for the state to um to declare Harmony deceased, she made it a point to mention the statute of limitations for her being able to sue so
Oh my
that
God.
because there's a 6-year statute of limitations in New Hampshire.
Wow.
Oh my God almighty.
I mean,
So you
look,
want to get money out of this? I mean, oh,
Yeah, how do you feel
sorry,
like
Jane.
you
Go.
deserve to get paid for your daughter's death whenever you had her for 14 months on and off? Not even 14 months consistent. Like, so this is where the love-hate side of things comes in, right? I don't want bad for her. I don't
mm-hmm.
want her to relapse. I want her to do well for her child that she does have custody of, that she is doing better. She's engaged, she has custody of her child, she's doing all the things that she's supposed to do to make sure that she is clean and sober and all of the things. But how do you feel like you have some type of right to do this in her life? Why do you feel like you deserve to financially benefit or to profit off of your child's death whenever you sat there and you put her in this situation? And I don't think she'll win, honestly, since her lawyer advocated for Harmony to go there. But it's just the whole thing's disgusting.
So here's my quandary about all this. This is where I'm stuck at. I do think that there should be accountability on the part of CPS. And
Yeah, I
that
agree with
is
that.
Agreed.
Oh
because
yeah.
when you are called out to investigate potential neglect, child abuse. It doesn't matter whether neglect is child abuse. You know what I'm saying? But even if it was neglect, whether it was neglect or whether it was like just the caller only reported neglect or the caller reported Harmony's black eye, regardless, when you are out at a scene and you know that child lives there because you've asked and you've been told, and it is your duty to check on all of the children. And when you see one of the children being hustled into a car and driven away, that is a huge red flag. That's just, to me, common sense and flies in the face of, and I appreciate the CPS system. I understand that they are overwhelmed, underfunded, and overworked. I get it. And this isn't one of those situations where I'm just like, oh, it's everybody else's fault, but the actual person's fault. But CPS did have a role in this. They did fail Harmony because perhaps there could have been some intervention. Perhaps they could have, and that's another thing. They likely would have removed Harmony and the boys, and maybe Adam and Kayla would have gone and gotten into a rehab. Who knows what could have happened, because it didn't happen. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I'm annoyed by the whole thing. I will say, however, what I don't appreciate and what I don't think is a good idea is I don't think that Crystal should benefit financially by a wrongful death lawsuit in suing CPS. I think the right thing would be for CPS to be held accountable, but at the same time, no damages should be awarded. First of all, CPS is already a tax system, right? They don't have the money to be paying a lawsuit to any damn way. So it's going to cost, them money, and
Right.
that's already tight. So couldn't there be some type of compromise wherein any damages that would have been awarded, rather than giving her actual money, why don't they take whatever money damages were going to be awarded and turn around and make CPS make changes? Do you see what I'm saying?
And that's what the Millers were hoping for. They were hoping that she was going to jump on this ship with them and that they could advocate and really move to change laws. That's what their goal has been and always will be. They want to make sure that this can't happen to another Harmony out there. They want to make sure that Massachusetts is actually who's at fault for not making sure that the ICA was done. And so they want to make sure that stuff like that, those checks and balances are in place, and that takes laws to change. But unfortunately, like I think it was Neat Noodle said, they deserve to be held accountable. They deserve to have these changes made and things like that. That type of stuff needs to happen. But I agree, like she doesn't deserve to get no money off of this baby. I don't know if it needs to go to a foundation or scholarship funds for her brothers, or like, I don't know, but it should not go in her pocket if she ends up doing this and winning.
Yeah.
But I don't think she'll win because of the fact that she advocated through her lawyer for Harmony to go into that home.
I'm curious if DCYF, because I know like back in West Virginia, CPS was not state. It was a private company that was contracted through the state.
So it's a private company in every state, technically. Like it is federally funded and state funded, but it's a private company in every single state.
Okay. And then like in Florida, they even subcontract that out. So there is the ones that do the investigating, right? But then after the investigation has happened, and when there's reunification, there is a separate entity that is responsible for maintaining and following those cases. And when I first, like a year after I moved to Florida, like the literal day that I moved to Pinellas Park, there was an Amber Alert for a little boy. And it turns out that his mother he had been in and out of the system. They had just reunited. He'd been back with her, I think, maybe 6 months. and she reported him missing, and he was found in a dumpster. But through the course of the investigation, she had been contacting her social worker through the reunification process and telling the social worker, I'm overwhelmed. I can't do this. I need help. Can you help me? Yeah, it was a whole thing. And it's, it's,
Oh my gosh,
it's,
wow, that's
yeah.
awful. Well, I wonder if where it's technically a private company, my point to that was my thought process is, wouldn't it be a little more difficult to force them to make changes? I don't know. I'm curious about that. And then
So
also the money, where does the money come from?
they weren't
Like
even
you said,
the
state
ones
and
at fault,
federal.
though. Whenever it comes right down to it, the DCYF person showed up that day at court and they advocated against Harmony going with Adam. They said he didn't follow his visitation guidelines. They said that he didn't complete his hours. They didn't have a home study done. They stood there and said, don't send this baby home with him. But Crystal's lawyer, Adam's lawyer, and Harmony's guardian ad litem showed up and advocated for Harmony to go with Adam. And so the judge sided against DCYF and with the lawyers. And so really the fault that happened isn't so much her placement, because that had nothing to do with DCYF, but it is that guy who showed up and seen her for 10 seconds. It is the
That's
fact
who
that
I'm
the
talking
ICA
about.
was not completed with the judge. That type of stuff was their
Yeah.
failure.
Yeah, why would a judge give someone a kid when CPS is saying he hasn't done this, he hasn't done that? So yeah, I think it would, in that case, would come back on the judge. And then that guy that Jen was talking about, that pulls up and sees her getting in a car and doesn't see her for another week, when the black eye's obviously healed by that point, for the most part. He says it was a little red or whatever, but unbelievable.
That decision was very, very problematic. To the judge's defense, and I'm going to say this, and I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion. In the judge's defense, he only has what's in front of him, right? And if you have a guardian ad litem, that is the person who speaks for the child. That's the person who's supposed to represent the child, and that person is saying, it's one thing for Adam's attorney. Of course, Adam's attorney is going to be advocating for her to get back with him, and Crystal's attorney, but the guardian ad litem is the one who, that's who the judge relies on. The judge relies on that guardian ad litem. I don't know why I can't say that word tonight, to do a study and make a report and get back to them with what they think is in the best interest of the child. And I think that it was a colossal system failure across the board. I don't think that there's anybody really in this scenario whose hands are 100% clean. Do you know what I mean? I think she fell through the cracks, and it's terrible.
I get that with the guardian ad litem, but still, if CPS is the one who's supposed to be doing these visits and the home plan and all that stuff, and they're saying he's not doing it, and he's supposed to be doing that to get her, I just think that's bad. That's no good.
Right. And what Neat Noodle said, if Harmony had been followed up with, things could have been different as well. And that's the big part of the crack in the system that Blair and Jonathan are hoping to fix, because what happened was, because Adam moved from Massachusetts to New Hampshire, the follow-up was never there. New Hampshire never had a list of all of the failures that they had previously. They had no clue that who Harmony Montgomery was, or the fact that she needed follow-up care or needed somebody to keep a close eye on her. And so it's just like any person who gets their first CPS report in a different state or wherever, CPS is going to come, but how serious are they going to take it? And it shouldn't be like that. But whenever you got 60, 70, 80, 90 cases on your desk, you show up, you see a kid, you're like, oh, look, that one's still there. So that's where the system is broken. And that's what we need to fix. How do we make it so that these people don't have to see so many children in such a short time period that they feel that they even need to fudge paperwork that we've seen, or rush visits or whatever?
Exactly. And I think it comes right down to, and I'm going to say this to you guys in the chat. Listen, they get paid through our tax dollars. So the next time that there is a bill on the table and they want to charge us more, if it's going to CPS, whatever it's called in your state, 'cause it's different things, called different things, different places. But I mean, I do think that more funding would help. It's throwing money at it completely is not going to fix the entire system, but it is a start. Funds do help. And I
So
think that there needs to be a tracking system. CPS should be like any other um, government entity in that it should be interconnected. If you have a rap sheet in Texas and you move to Florida, you should be able to see that. If I
agreed.
can go online and pull up somebody's background report, CPS ought to be able to do the same damn thing instead of people being able to use it on YouTube to, start a bunch of trouble. If we can have access to it, CPS ought to be able to have access to that kind of stuff. That's what I
Agreed.
think should happen.
There's only one thing that most people don't know, and I've done a deep dive into this on my channel before, back while I was covering Ariel Seller's case, which I'm gonna plug real quick. She has a um a court hearing on Wednesday to try to get her case investigated like Harmony's was with her ICA
Okay.
documents and things like that. And so they're meeting outside of the courthouse this Wednesday to try to
Okay.
advocate for them to open up those files. But we did a deep dive into CPS and the funding and things like that with CPS. And most states take what they are allocated for CPS and they only give them a small portion. And then they use the rest of that money to pad their budgets in other areas. And so what happens is millions of dollars that is intended for CPS on each state level never actually makes it to them. And I have a whole video on this. It shows, like, for example, we were looking at, I think it was Arizona, over $1 million that was supposed to go to CPS was given back to the state, quote unquote, which it was never actually given to the CPS, but because it was considered profit. And then the state used that to pad their budget elsewhere. And so really the
Oh
change
my
that needs to
God.
be made is making sure that you are communicating with your state and local governments so that you can find out what funds came in for our state. You can actually look it up on their website to see what grants were approved for CPS and how much funding went from CPS or came from the federal government to CPS and how much of it actually went to CPS and how much did your state and House representatives use to pad their budget in other places.
That is so
Oh my God,
important
that's
that you did
interesting.
that. That is important work, Sleuth Mom. Thank you for doing that because I must admit, I I am somewhat ignorant on all of the little thing, and that's actually not a little thing, but it is a detail. And I didn't realize that they did that at all because you hear so
I
much
didn't
that
either.
there's not enough funding. But
Because
now we
people
know,
we get emotionally motivated to help the kids, right? We're all
yes,
emotionally motivated to say, throw more money at it, throw more money at it. And guess what? They get the federal government to approve those grants, to approve that funding. And then they take it and they use it to, fix the roads in their town or to give everybody in their community a raise or whatever it is. And CPS never sees a dime.
that's, I'm
Right.
so
Well,
glad that you did a video. Um, I'm going to go over to your channel. Do you know the name of the video? And I will drop the
Yeah,
link in
let
the
me find
chat
it. Let me grab it real quick.
because I want to share that. I appreciate that, Suze Mom.
um,
I think as much of us, sorry, Allie, who cover true crime, especially when we cover the cases with the children and when CPS has been involved, I think it would behoove all of us to educate ourselves. And you did the legwork. Thank you so much for that. Yes, ma'am, Allie.
okay, so also there's a YouTube creator called Down the Rabbit Hole News, and
Mm-hmm.
she used to work for CPS and about the like federal. She said that people have been trying to do that for years and years. She said, matter of fact, people try to make the changes all the time, but like little issues come up, like for instance, with the federal database that they bring up privacy concerns and HIPAA and all this different stuff, and that is why it hasn't went through before. But they've been trying to get that done. So I don't know how you actually, I don't know what the answer is.
That's annoying about HIPAA, that they're using HIPAA as an excuse. Really, what HIPAA is meant to do, really, is just to protect us from employers being able to see our medical records and not giving us a job. It's for things like that, not for,
Yeah, or not to
you know
share
what
your
I mean?
yeah.
Exactly. Like
But yeah, that's what,
but it ends up, this is what happens, it gets over, they go too far. It's too far overreaching. And now look where we're at. This is very upsetting to me. I put the link, you guys, in the chat. In fact, I'm going to pin the link because that way we won't lose it as the chat goes on. Oh, I don't want to
yeah,
report
down the rabbit hole
myself.
news is very good. Oh, she put it in the back. Did you? Oh, you said
I
you
did. I
pinned
get it.
Sorry,
And
I was in the chat.
no, she did. I did it. I got it from the back chat and I'm going to pin it now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Now I want to
Yeah,
ask you.
for whatever
I want
reason,
to
I
ask
can't do it.
her what you think about like some of the other witnesses. Like for instance, the property manager or Roseanne Smith. Some of these other people who have came out and talked about some of Kayla's claims, like even the property manager, she was so upset. I think that Rose was upset as well, to a degree. We've seen that from a few people, but then with the property manager, it was kind of interesting with on the cross when she comes up and she's like, well, didn't that come up in conversation because Adam was saying he missed her, and what did you think about those moments?
No, I
What the
thought
jury might take from it.
so with Kayla's testimony, I was completely like, I don't believe a word she says just because of Kayla's background and the things. But it was very smart of the prosecution to bring those witnesses in to try to obviously play at the heartstrings of the jury and make them see that Kayla was potentially just this beaten, abused, poor drug addict mom that was trying to do her best through all of that. But at the same time, I watched them describe Kayla get help for herself, right? She got beat, she got hurt, they were all upset about it, and she got help for herself. Why did she never get help for Harmony? And even in those moments that she got help for herself, why didn't she mention what happened to Harmony if she had no involvement whatsoever in it? She could have gotten rid of Adam forever, way back then. So
Yet
that's kind
instead
of
she
where I'm
was
at
out
with it.
here meeting him at the Walmart to trade phones in for money.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's like, so you sat there, I don't know how you sat in the front seat of a car and you claim that, well, during the trial, she said that she tried to stop him at first and he gave her that look or whatever. But besides that, she just sits there and doesn't even turn around and look at Harmony, not even when handing her Burger King food. That just disgusts me. And I don't think I don't see how that happens. I do not see how that could happen. It makes no sense to me. But
No, and my thing is too, you know, was she only getting hurt after Harmony? Because other people have said that she was abused before that, but her testimony is it was after Harmony started. I'm really curious to see what Tabitha Scott is going to say, honestly, because she was in the car accident with them on the 29th. She was, by all accounts, their best friend. She was like a sister to Adam, quote unquote. And so I want to know, I want to see her testimony so bad it's not even funny because I want to know what she's going to say.
Everybody that's testified thus far has met them or encountered them, I should say, and not met. That's not the right word. Encountered them after Harmony. The girl who testified from FIT, and I know her name. I'm not going to say it. I feel awful for her. Her testimony was she saw the bruises at FIT. The apartment manager, that was also after Harmony, after FIT. So I do find it. I think a lot of people, and I think the jury too, and the jury is comprised of a lot of women, and I think that the jury. I don't know who decided that the jury, how it shook out that the jury was going to be comprised mainly of women, but I do not think that that was something that the defense wanted. Because of the fact that Adam is going, Kayla was going to get up there and testify about the domestic violence and all of those things. And it's not that men don't feel anger that way too. Of course they do. When anybody hears that somebody's been abused, period, it makes people angry. Nobody deserves that shit. But I just think that sometimes, and this is just the facts, women can be very critical of other women. We are, I think, sometimes far more critical of one another than we are of men. So I'm not exactly sure. And then the opposite can be true too. We can come in and we can see, and that's why it's interesting they stack the jury like this, because on the one hand, the state wants Kayla to be believed, right? And women can, like I said, women can be very critical of one another. I'm a woman, I know. But at the same time, they've got Adam sitting over there from the defense's point of view, right? And they're going to look at him as a woman beater monster, which he is, all of those things. I can't figure out how that happened and who thought that was a good idea. It doesn't actually make sense to me, really.
I don't know, because to me, I don't know if it's because I just don't get along with girls very well usually. Like I've always been the type of person just kind of hangs out with guys. But to me, like Kayla comes off very not likable whenever she's sitting there getting sassy on the stand to bootleg Elaine, and I call her
There you go.
Lewis on my channel.
Embrace it, sleuth mom. It feels good. It's liberating,
Right.
babe.
But I think that like she comes off bad in my opinion, and then turning on the waterworks whenever she's talking to Stretch, and it's just I don't know. So I agree though that the jury breakdown, it is kind of interesting. Ramblin' Rome was in the courtroom, the opening statements, and then the next day, and she was telling me that the one male juror, he's a younger guy and he has younger children, and he had expressed to the judge how concerned he was with the details of the case and things like that. And she said that while she was watching him as everybody's been was testifying and through the opening statements, like he looked like he was going to have a nervous breakdown. She honestly is surprised that he made it to this point, because he is so emotional sitting on the jury. And so it's not just the women that get emotional over stuff, for sure. So
No, I think that anybody hearing about a child would get emotional. Yeah, absolutely. Men too. And if I came across thinking it would just be women, I shouldn't have said that. I did. That was not that I shouldn't have said that. That was not my
no.
intent to convey it that way. Because listen, I think look, even me, and I got nothing for Kayla at all.
Mm-hmm.
But they held up that picture of her with those two black eyes. I did.
Oh yeah, that hurt. Mm-hmm.
I did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was
I
pretty
agree with that.
strategic for them to bring in that apartment manager specifically, because she did have such an emotional response to it.
Oh yeah.
You could tell she was just devastated that her friend got hurt like that.
Yeah, which is interesting to me, because we're hearing all of these things about Kayla, right? Like in court. See, for me, the trial is the part that I like, because, we hear all the things right before trial. We hear the investigation, all the things, there's rumors, blah, 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 right? But the trial is when you sort of it gets pared down and you're hearing the truth. And I find it interesting that there must be something very redeemable quality about Kayla, that her friend would feel like that for her. Because, I can imagine if it were my girlfriend who I saw with two black eyes, I would be devastated for her. You know what I mean? And so it does give Kayla humanity, but then there's that really mean part of me that feels like, does she deserve humanity? I mean, she let Adam do. Listen, if you believe her story 100%, which I'm not saying that I do, but if you do, right, then you have to. Then she allowed a monster. She did nothing. She didn't. A look would not be enough to stop me. I don't care. I don't care if I'd been beat a million times before. I would take another, make this my 1,000,001 beating, because I would step in and protect a child. I don't care. And that's the
Agree.
part I'm having trouble with.
And she walked into the facility to get her methadone and didn't get help there. She walked
No,
away from him by herself and went in there. And so
right.
it's very frustrating that she never took the steps to get help for Harmony, and then she was so quick. As soon as she got beat, according to what they're trying to present, as soon as she got beat, then she hurried up and got help for herself. And that's where my issue is. To me, that makes her more not likable. You know what I mean? I just I
Yes.
don't know.
It makes her
And so
worse.
right.
Not
And so
that
that
she
could go either
deserves a
way for the
beating.
jury.
Yeah, not
Mhm.
that nobody I want to be clear, because you know how people misconstrue stuff and mishear. We're not saying that Kayla deserved to be beat. Nobody deserves to be beat. Okay. That's
Mhm.
not what we're saying. But what we're not understanding is there was no sense of urgency in Kayla until she became the object of Adam's abuse, physical abuse. And that is what I'm and I think Sleuth Mom, and I know Allie too. I think that, and most people, that's the issue. That's the part where people are just like, bro, what the fuck? You know? That's how I feel about Kayla at this point. Just, bro, what the fuck?
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I know I'm just gonna say, like, I'm reading your chat, and a lot of people are talking about Uncle Kevin. And I know a lot of people are like, why didn't he do more? Why didn't he do more? Um, he really did do what he thought was the right thing. Like, he did call and report this 3 different times. He even offered to pay them money to take Harmony away from there. He tried what he knew to do. It sucks whenever you're reporting that a child is being abused and that a child has a black eye, and then the CPS worker shows up, or DCYF shows up and takes a look at her from 40 feet away for 10 seconds.
Right. That's a glance.
And then what happens to Harmony? Have you guys ever lived in abusive situations? I'm going to tell you, every time CPS showed up at my house whenever I was growing up, every single time, we got the crap beat out of us after they left. Every single time, because who did we talk to? Who did we tell?
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh
that's
my
just the
God, I'm so
reality for
sorry.
abusive situations. And so
Right.
how did he feel knowing that he was calling and nothing was happening? And so just kind of look at it from that standpoint. At that point, you worry about, am I making this child's life worse? Am I making things more difficult on Harmony by calling and reporting? Are things going to get worse for her? You have to keep in mind that those type of thoughts are there also.
Right. And it isn't like, okay, not only did he call literally everybody in the family to let them know what was going on, to try to get some type of intervention that way. But then he did what you're supposed to do, which is to report it.
Right.
And because it needs to be documented. And the truth of the matter is, and I mean, we talk true crime all the time, but I learned something new from you tonight about CPS and where the money goes. And I think most people, and Uncle Kevin included, I think he thought he was doing the right thing. I think he thought he was calling the agency that would be in the best position to do something about it. Because even if, let's say, Uncle Kevin had come home that night, right? And he had seen Harmony's black eye. And I know people misconstrued his testimony when he asked her. He was asking her, what'd you do to yourself? What happened? And
Right.
he wasn't blaming her. And I think a lot of people misunderstood that, but that's not what he was saying. But what would have happened? Let's say came to the house, he sees it, and Adam says what he says, and Kevin just commences to wailing on Adam. What would that have actually done in the long run for Harmony? Nothing. It probably would have gotten worse because he would have been even angrier. And I think he tried his best, and he called the people that are in the best position. And he knows that Harmony has a history with
Right.
CPS. And he probably didn't realize, like most people don't realize, that they're not interconnected. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
And
thank
I
you, Robin,
understand,
for
like,
becoming a member. I
I
appreciate that,
understand
guys.
everybody else's thoughts too, like about the fact that, everybody failed this kid, and they
Mm-hmm.
did. At the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, they did. But it's not like he could really like pick her up, put her in his car, and drive off with her. Like that's kidnapping. You know what I
Correct.
mean?
Exactly.
And so
Correct.
there's only so much you can do with the red tape that unfortunately is our law system for a lot of things. My question is more about the people who were directly surrounding her. I'm sorry, but if she showed up to Kayla's mom's on the 30th, well,
Thank
allegedly she
you.
had already had bruises at that point because she
Yep.
had hit the back of the seat and that bled and all this stuff, but there's no blood in the car. So did Kayla's mom see bruises? All these people that were surrounding them on a day-to-day basis. Look how many people have testified just that week leading up to this. Did anybody see
Exactly.
bruises? I'm sorry, but and then we're hearing the abuse started at 2 or 3 in the morning and continued all the way to 7 a.m. whenever Burger King opened. Did anybody see her in between that time period? It's just,
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot of people who were directly related that we don't have to hate somebody who moved to Florida months before it actually happened,
Yep.
right?
Right.
I agree
Right.
with that. I honestly feel really have a lot of sympathy for Kevin, and I think that he was the one person who was actually trying to do what was right by Harmony. He was even calling, and look here, this man is in recovery, and that right there, that comes along with the culture of not calling authorities, not working with police, even when you're in recovery, but especially when you're
Mm-hmm.
using. Which I'm just saying though, when you've lived that kind of lifestyle, you that's the culture that you've been in, and you're calling authorities on your family member. And not only that, offering money to take, I think he did everything he could. Like you said, he couldn't just walk out with her. I mean, so we got to, there's a lot of other people that really deserve to be blamed in this.
Exactly. And I think I want to ask you, Sleuth Mom, about this because this is a theory that I told Allie, but I don't know if you were in here
Hey,
that
Jen, have
night.
you been starring Adrian's questions?
Oh my
Did we
God.
lose
Are
her?
you paying attention to them? Because, oh my
I
God.
know, but
I'll go through
she
the
did have
chat.
one just a second ago. Hold on,
Okay,
let me
I'll go
scroll
through
back.
it. I'll scroll through it and do it. I'm sorry, Adrian. I got distracted from talking. I'm sorry. I'm the worst. I'm no
No, you're
good.
not the worst.
I'm right there. I may not be the worst, but I'm right there. Um, give me just a second. Let me ask Sooth Mom this question. Do you think that see for me Kayla's story makes absolutely no sense. Like there's no it just doesn't make sense. And I wonder if given everything we've heard thus far about what she says happened and this discussion, this pact that they had or whatever, do you think it's possible that actually what ended up happening is that Harmony might have gotten a hold of some illicit substance? And the reason that they are that it's shaking out this way is because if the true story is told, then Kayla will lose access to the other children that she has with Adam. And this is a way of preventing that from happening, which I know doesn't make like logical sense, but none of this makes logical sense. So
I've seen a
that
lot of people say that. What do you
I was
think,
gonna
Sleuth
say, I'm
Mom?
actually right there with you. I think it has to be something with the drugs. I think that's why the drug dude was so sorry, I shouldn't keep saying that word on your channel. But I think that that's a big part of why he was so sure that not that week he didn't sell anything that week to them, and that's a big part of it because whenever you get right down to it, if Harmony got into something, say Adam left it out, Kayla left it out, whoever, it doesn't
Did
matter.
she cut out?
Oh, can you
no,
hear
I
me?
can hear. No, I hear you, Sleuth. I hear you.
Okay. So if she got into something and that it led to her death, you're looking at Adam, Kayla, the person who sold it, all going to jail. All of them.
Right.
And so
Right.
that's going to make Adam's life more difficult whenever he is in jail because I'm sure that the
Right.
other guy has a lot more connections than he does. And then you're looking at both of their children ending up getting put back into the same system that Adam knows is going to fail their kids. And so
Right.
that's I'm right there with you. And I think that that's why that conversation happened. I'm sorry, but why would it make sense for Kayla to say to him, or for him to say to her, "Don't worry, I'll take the fall." Like, that conversation doesn't make sense
Right.
at all if he's the only one
Right.
who did anything.
Right. And why what is this betrayal? I don't see how I don't it's weird that she used that word. And it's the other thing is she was quite concerned with, and I don't know how else to put this, y'all, but she was quite concerned with her own self-preservation and making sure that the state didn't she didn't get fucked. That those were her words. I mean, how could she, if you're telling the truth, and Amanda says she already lost access, if I recall correctly, and she doesn't have access to them now, but that her rights have not been terminated, right? Sleuth Mom, is that correct?
So I don't
She can
know.
still
I
have
think
something?
whenever they first got on the stand, I believe they clarified that she did lose her rights. But losing your rights doesn't mean that you'll never see them ever again. It just
That's
means that
true.
you can't make parental decisions for them. If those children are somewhere that she will have access to them, for example, her mom's a family member, somewhere along those lines, I guarantee you she'll still get to see them. I'm almost
Right,
positive
right,
that her mom helped guide for her, so I can promise that she'll help her see her kids if she has any ability to do so.
right, right.
What do you think would like, okay, let's say that it's she, because I cut out for a second of that, but I try to think of like a circumstance where that drug situation would fit. Like, what if Kayla was alone with Harmony? Would that, like, what would make her turn that into this violent episode? Or,
But it took how many proffers to get her to that violent episode?
that's true.
How many
Yeah.
times did they go from, "Okay, nothing happened," to before she finally got there? And honestly, I really think it comes down to the fact that she was out walking around, still doing drugs. She got arrested for drugs again, that's what led to this last proffer.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're not gonna tell me that she didn't talk to these other people who potentially could have been involved in selling the illicit substances or whatever about maybe what potentially even could have happened. I mean, I'm sorry, but I have a hard time believing that absolutely nobody knew other than him and her, and everybody just thought that she was just gone, but they went and got him a U-Haul and a hotel room, and I struggle with all of it, and I don't know. I can't take that away. That's just my opinion, and my opinion is worth, nothing. You know what I mean? So
It's
it's
worth
just
something because we're all here to listen
I
to it. So don't say
true, but
that. It's,
I
but
just
I know what
can't
you
get rid of
mean.
that gut feeling inside of me though, like that something it just does not add up. None of it,
Well, how did anybody buy the Harmony went with her mother story?
right?
Because that is not just a story that they told authorities, okay, the law enforcements. That's the story they told people that they kicked it with, which to me, I would be thinking, this is where I'm at. The story. Listen, I'm going to be. Everybody knows that I used to that I had back surgery and that I was addicted to hydrocodone. Okay, and I have been turned on some hydrocodone and a hydrocodone soma combo. But I'm telling y'all right now, even in my most turned moments on soma and hydrocodone, I would have been questioning that because from what I understand, the Sebring wasn't in that great of condition, right? And they go to the methadone clinic and they break down after the method. See what I'm saying? When was this? And I know that Lowell is not all that far from where they are in New Hampshire, but that's not the point. The point is it wouldn't matter how far it was because their car was a piece of crap. Let's just be honest. It wasn't a very good running vehicle. All right. So transmissions don't just go out like that. You see, I mean, they do,
The
but
transmission wasn't even out. That was
what
a
was it?
lie.
Oh, that's the lie. What was it? What was wrong with
The
their vehicle?
transmission
Whatever.
was being the transmission was being sold on eBay by the
Ah,
junkyard, and that's how the internet sleuths were able to find that vehicle and turn it into police. The
wow.
people at True Crime Replay found that. I'm pretty sure it was them anyways. They found that vehicle
Wow.
and they sent it into police, and that's how they were even able to get the car.
So then what, did they just run out of gas? I mean, what happened that day that they were just in the damn street?
I honestly think that, well, so them being in the street, that was the day, I think. Oh, I don't know. I can't remember what they said happened to it. Like, they were blaming it on the transmission. I'm not sure exactly what happened the day that the tow truck guy pulled it away, but it wasn't the transmission because they were selling it
Furbished or redone?
not redone. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what the
yeah.
word is for it for
Rebuilt.
trannies, but
It's a
yeah,
rebuild.
not because they would by law have to list if it was a rebuilt tranny.
Yes. So, okay, but my point, so then my point is still valid. Okay, let's take away the
Mhm.
transmission. The car was not, whatever happened that day happened to the car,
Right,
which means it wouldn't have made it to Lowell and back. So I don't understand how anybody bought that story in the first damn ass place.
right. No, I don't know. Lee Chat Norris said they had an accident. So they had an accident on the 29th, the 2nd, and then I gotta pull it up. I have all the accident reports. Give me a second here. So unorganized. I switched computers throughout this process because this case has gone so long. And so
Mm-hmm.
every time I have to find something, I have to like go back to the beginning of time. But I'll find that while you guys are chatting if you'd like.
Okay. All right. Let me see. What do you think, Al? This is another. Okay. This is for you, Allie. I
I
can't.
can't.
Debbie Doodle says, I can't get past no body fluid in the back seat. I was going to read it for you, babe, so you don't have to read
Oh, and I
it.
grabbed one of Adrian's questions. I
Thank
screenshot it and I
you.
went back
You're
just
such a
before it
good
was
girl.
gone.
The
I can't.
chat now it's gone. I can't get back to it. I'm sorry, Adrian. Ask another question, babe, or email me and I'll forward it to Sleuth Mom, or we'll figure out some kind of way. Okay. What do you think about
Well,
this
I screenshot
here?
this
What
one
Debbie Doodle says.
because it was on. I can't get past that. I can't get past. Well, I don't know. I don't think that would definitively say either way, but I do think that it's interesting. And then with Adrian's comment, by the way, the reason I screenshot it was because when you asked me if I had any, I started scrolling back and I saw that it was one comment away from being lost. Like it was right at the end.
Oh,
So
your heart. You and the Lord's work today. Thank you, Allie.
so she says, if Kayla unalived Harmony and he is admitting to tampering with the corpse, then why would he not tell where Harmony is to get her a proper burial? To me, that proves it was Adam. I don't know
So
what you guys think about that.
I don't think that she is findable. Otherwise, they would have already went and got her after he did his conceding to the crimes. Because I'm sure they asked him. There are I can't really say what I know, honestly, but one of the things that is believed to be happen is she wouldn't be recoverable, unfortunately. But then there's the other side of things that if it's the fact that he was just tossing her out the window while he was driving down the road, in the areas that he was, the wildlife that itself,
Mm-hmm.
that's also a possibility. But the other possibility, it's just she wouldn't be in bodily form anymore, so they wouldn't be able to
Well,
go get her.
okay. But also, the thing about that is, if let's explore this. Let's say she is recoverable, just for a moment. Okay, that still does not prove. When they have her body, they'll know what happened to her, but they won't know who did it.
Well, would
There's
they
no
know
way
at this
that
point?
I mean, so if it were skeletal remains, they can take X-rays, and they will see any breaks. If she's got skull fractures, I mean they'll be able to see all of that, but that won't tell you who did it. It'll only
Right.
tell you what happened. So even if, and I know this, and I know this is messed up to say, but I'm trying to take it from a legal standpoint, and if you were if what his attorney would advise him. Okay. Adam gains nothing by showing them where Harmony is. Legally, ethically, and morally, it's the right thing to do. Okay. But it won't get him found. It will not, him saying where her body is will not get him acquitted of second degree murder, because again, they'll x-ray discuss. They did it with Kaylee Anthony. They x-ray, and Kaylee didn't have anything that all of the remains that they could get together. She didn't have like broken bones or anything like that. But Harmony would probably would have some fractures because he was allegedly abusive, but it doesn't get him acquitted on second degree murder, because it'll only prove what happened, not who did it. And that's really at this point in where we're at in the trial, is who did it. Was it Adam by himself? Was it Kayla by herself? Or, which I suspect is the truth, because it's always somewhere in the middle, right? Was it a combination of the two of them?
Right. Especially with Kayla admitting that she also would beat Harmony. That's what I think. I did find the accident reports, by the way.
Yeah.
So their accident dates were, they had one July 28th, September 25th, October 23rd, November 29th, and December 7th. Or sorry, December 2nd. December 2nd.
Oh my
And then the
God.
vehicle was signed over to the junkyard that same, like it was taken to the junkyard by the testimony we heard on what, the 8th? The 7th?
Yeah.
Did that guy say the 7th or the 8th?
I think he said
I don't
7th.
remember either. I would have
Okay.
assumed the 7th. Yeah. But
And wouldn't they
so
have given,
say those dates
if
again
they-
though? How many was that since July?
Yeah.
Sorry, Jen.
so there was,
So it's okay.
but
How many
It
dates was
was
that again?
July 28th, September 25th, October 23rd, November 29th, and December the 2nd.
Wow. So 5.
it's 5.
And that long. My goodness.
Mm-hmm. And then the thing that they were talking about with the battery, that was in the other guy's car.
Yeah,
That was not
that's the
in
Audi.
this car. Mm-hmm.
That was the Audi. What's shocking to me though, so did here, I mean, I would imagine, and it happened, if he signed it over to the junkyard, right? Don't they pay you for that?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. A lot of times,
So they
unless there's nothing usable on a car, then sometimes you got to pay for it to be towed, which I don't know how much they
Yeah.
would have had to pay to get it towed away, if that money would have ended up going to the tow truck driver or not.
I don't think
But
they would get
sometimes-
the money if they owed the tow truck. But yeah, you
Right.
do get
Well,
you do get
sometimes
money
tow
for it.
truck drivers also work for junkyards, so they're in tandem. So you
Right.
can work out a deal. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
Which means
Because I
he's
know
like, if you don't have the money to tow the car, then I'll tow it and I'll just keep the money when they crush it or when we crush
Right,
it. You know what I mean?
right.
Something like that.
Depends on what it is. Like I had a long time ago, an old Honda Accord that I sold for to the junkyard because it had a blown head gasket, and I wasn't going to pay to fix that because you have to do the transmission or whatever. And I sold it for scrap, and they came and got it. So, I mean, sometimes I think it just depends. But I was just curious because I asked that because of them doing the hours of, however Kayla testified, hours of drugs in the car, in the Audi after that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Essentially hotboxing the car with their children in it.
Yeah. Also,
is there a
Adrian
problem
has
with
another
that?
question.
I'm just kidding.
I mean,
Sorry.
and I couldn't understand what Anthony Bodera was trying to say about Kayla not knowing how to drive a manual transmission. What the hell does that have to do with starting a car? I mean, what, did she not know how to start a manual? How did I don't understand how that equated to a battery dying. Maybe it's because I can drive a stick that I don't understand what the problem is. But that's what he was saying, that it had to, the reason that the battery on his Audi died is because Kayla did not know how to drive a manual. Does anybody
Yeah.
in the chat have that? Because I can't. I've been thinking about this every day since that testimony came out. That is the first thing I think about when I get in the shower, and I think today's going to be the day. I'm always hopeful. That's where I do my best thinking, is in the shower. And every day I think to myself, you know, I'm going to solve this riddle. I don't understand that, but it might come to me.
Well, I'm thinking that she couldn't start it because she kept falling out, and so she turned it on.
Thank
you know what I mean? And then it ran dead.
She didn't turn it over all the way.
Yeah.
Does
That's what I mean.
Adam
Yeah,
not know
that's what
how
I'm
to start
saying.
a damn car? What the hell is happening? What is
Well,
with
he
this
knows how to drive
generation?
He knows how to drive a clutch. That was like the point that that was one of the points that they made. Like, Adam can drive a clutch and he knows how to drive that car, but she didn't. And so that's when, so I don't know. But
that never made sense to me though, because what does the Audi even have to do with it? Because allegedly Harmony
it's
was
all after.
in there
Yeah.
as remains, I guess, but she was never in there like alive. And I don't know. So then we're still to these charges that he has conceded that yes, I did this, this, and this, but we're still stuck with the main
Right.
thing that we're here to prove. Like, where is the proof
Right.
of what he did to her? Where is the
Yeah.
proof of who actually caused her to be unalived?
Right.
And I got another question from Adrian that might be gone now. She
Okay.
says, why is the state leaving parts of the defense like they got to the pipes but did not continue with testimony? He left out the video of the man handling the other girl. I don't know what she means by that. I think they're talking about something that happened in Walmart. I didn't see that of him being like violent with Kelsey, I guess. But I didn't see that, so I don't know where that came from.
I don't understand that question, babe.
Why is the state leaving parts of the defense like they got to the pipes but did not continue with the testimony?
They got to the pipes.
I know that I was shocked with Adam's friend who testified on, I think it was Friday morning. They should have been asking him a lot more questions based off of the reports that we were released, like all of the stuff that we read. And there was a lot of stuff that was never asked, and that kind of threw me off. Travis Beach, according to the arrest affidavit and the documents that they released, there was so much more that he was going to testify to, and they left it very, very just on the surface. And I thought that was strange.
Right, because in the proffer, did he not, or was it his girlfriend? No, who said that Adam was literally like throwing things out of the vehicle?
Right, that was in there. Like,
That's
we didn't
what I'm
just
trying.
imagine
Yeah,
that.
thank
There was
you. Because
allegedly
thank you.
there.
Okay, see, Sleuth Mom. Sometimes when this stuff happens, I start to question my own,
Yeah,
like
like,
what
did I
I
think this?
heard. Like,
Right.
because then I'm thinking, did I just dream that? Did I make that up in my own brain? Because
Remember,
why
we
are
were
they
like,
not asking? Yes,
yeah,
Allie.
we were like, why wasn't someone else there? Like, what? Oh no, I'm not making that up. Mayla's mom went back looking through stuff. She found something from Johnson's statement about Beach being with him during that. But yeah, fill us in, Sleuth Mom, because we're lost there.
No, yeah, that's what we're looking for. Was like, I was expecting Travis Beach to kind of say like, well, I went with him in the U-Haul that day, or something, and he
Right.
testified that he had no clue that this was even going on, that
Yeah.
Harmony was even there. And so that just threw me for a loop, but that goes back to what I was saying about Kayla. She was out. She had time to talk to all of these people and figure out, what are we going to go with? Because now I'm arrested again. Well, she didn't talk to him then, but you get what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
it's just weird that everybody's story, they forget all of the details and nobody knew anything. And then somehow, Adam's just a monster, which he is, but is he the only monster? I guess that's my problem.
Well, see, here's the thing. Okay, so if this is what I'm curious about, because it is Johnson, Mayla's mom is, and I don't know if he's on the witness list, but I can say this. I'm shocked. Maybe Travis Beach is denying that he said that. maybe that is the problem.
But why
But
wouldn't
then
the defense, like,
but
kind of
then
pull that up?
Maybe they will
because
if they call him
Yeah.
back.
because bootleg Elaine is stuck on Kayla. It does not matter, like when the officer was up there testifying, and he's the one that actually cut out the parts of the ceiling, right, and did all the things. Okay, she didn't give a rat's fat kneecap about that. She asked him like 3 questions about that, and then it moved right over to, so when Kayla was in your office and you were, questioning her, how come she didn't? What happened that she stopped answering questions? What stopped the interview? That's she just. I bootleg Elaine. I got to tell you, if you're listening, please hear me when I say this. Please. I'm a regular person. I get jury summonses all the time. Sometimes I go, sometimes I don't. That's just the facts of the matter. However, one of these times I might actually get picked for jury duty, and I am a regular everyday citizen, and I'm telling you right now, this is problematic. Listen to the people in this chat. They're telling you where you're going awry here.
I
We
swear to
don't
God,
want.
though, she is listening.
Yes, come on, bootleg Elaine. Miss Smith, listen, here's the deal. I know you got a job to do and you got to advocate for your client, okay? We get it. And believe me, nobody in this chat wants Kayla's proffer deal to work out for her. We would like for her to be right next to Adam where she freaking belongs. That's where she fucking wants to be. Let's put her there, okay? We get it. But you are not helping that case out at all. You're making people feel sorry for Kayla. You need to stop that right now.
Well, I think that with that, there's not really much she can ask about the ceiling, but if he interviewed Kayla, Kayla's the one that has the story. You know
Yeah,
what I
but
mean?
that
So,
wasn't the bulk. That's not what he was up there testifying to.
right, I know, but I'm just saying, what can she even ask about that? Really, like, I don't know. But I am curious what you guys think is going to come from this inmate that the defense has on their list. They have an inmate, and then they also had the foster mom.
Yeah, I don't know. Johnson is on the witness list. I just checked, so we'll see.
Okay.
But I
What
don't
did you?
know. I don't know about the inmate and the foster mom really gets me, honestly. Maybe she's going to testify about they're going to ask her about like how wonderful Adam was whenever she met them or something along those lines. I don't know.
Right. And then like go ahead, Jen.
Okay. Here's the thing about witness lists. A witness list is just a list. Okay. Nobody's a witness until they're actually called to the stand. And so that could be something strategic. Having her on the witness list keeps her from talking because she's not been released. So, so that could be something strategic because listen, I watched her testimony and I cannot imagine if Miss Smith had anything that she was going to ask on cross that goes to Adam being a somewhat decent guy or a decent father, right? She would have asked it. I think it's to keep her from being able to talk. See, she's not released from her subpoena, which means that nobody, she can't speak, so nobody can interview her.
But couldn't they ask for her to not be released anyway without putting her on the list?
I mean, they could, but
like they've done with the other ones.
I mean, yeah, they could absolutely do that. They could absolutely do that. I don't know why she would be on their witness list, so I can't imagine what testimony
what she could add.
She could add that would be beneficial to Adam. See, that's the thing.
That's what I'm wondering about this inmate too. I'm like, what could they possibly bring to the table? Like, it's a male inmate for one, so it's not going to be anybody Kayla was locked up with,
right?
And he said unless like unless it's like a Letitia Stalk through the toilet situation, I guess, or something.
I mean, they have inmates who write to each other.
That's true. Yeah. So I guess it could potentially be something like that, but what else could it be? That I don't know. It's just interesting.
It would have to be. I mean, it would be. I'm curious, and is there some kind of surprise witness? I'm confused about this, or is the surprise witness we're talking about the same thing? We're the tip caller person, because is that what you
Which
guys
is
are
a,
talking about?
which if so, that appears to be a defense witness, but I don't know. I mean,
They were citing some law type thing. I know what you're talking about, like that code that makes it seem like it's a defense witness, but
Brady.
it doesn't Brady, thank you. But it doesn't necessarily
right,
mean that they are 100% going to be that type of witness. I don't
right.
know. I don't know if they're going to bring that person to trial or not. Like, would they have to almost do like a continuance so that they could properly vet this person's tip before they would introduce it to a jury, do you think?
Well, so what would have to happen is, and this is why, um, so exculpatory evidence is usually what they're talking about when they refer to a Brady violation. However, because nobody from the prosecution has spoken to this witness, because at this moment it would have been improper. Okay. um based on you, just because somebody calls in a tip in the middle of a trial that you're currently on as the prosecutor, it would not be proper for the prosecutor then to contact this person. The proper thing to do is for the investigators to investigate the situation, vet whatever it is he or she has said, et cetera, and then they bring it to the prosecution. Okay. But because they are in the middle of the trial, out of an abundance of caution and just in case whatever this witness has to say is potentially exculpatory, that's why they mentioned Brady. It doesn't necessarily mean the prosecutor hasn't had a time to speak to this witness or anything. They've only looked at this report that the officer who took the tip submitted. So probably what would have to happen is they're not going to hear. What would have to happen is they contacted this witness and told this witness that they can no longer watch the trial. That was the first step. Then they will they will investigate whatever this tip is, but both sides will get to investigate. And so then there might be a hearing. They'll probably not do a continuance, but they'll probably do an in-camera hearing outside of the presence of the jury if either side decides what this witness has to offer is uh, helpful to their case.
That
And
makes
we
sense.
have to
I wasn't
remember,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
we have to remember too, just because I thought about this too, Sleuth Mom, who was testifying, but then I remembered also, due to the internet and the streaming, you don't necessarily have to watch a trial in real time. This person might have
Right.
been at work when the trial was going on and they were behind, and they could have been watching Monday's testimony on Tuesday,
Kayla.
in which case Kayla was on the stand for the majority of the day.
True. Very true.
And
I
didn't the
just
judge say that? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, because
No,
you
go
were
ahead,
going to say
Alex.
something.
Go ahead.
Well, just that, didn't the judge say that she wanted their motions in by like Monday regarding this potential witness? So they both had to
Yes,
go home,
yes,
review this interview, and then, okay. So we'll
yes.
probably find out soon.
Yes.
Go ahead.
If they do any,
Well,
I mean, what I'm saying is we won't hear from the witness Monday.
No.
We'll probably hear from both sides Monday regarding this person, but we won't hear from this witness probably, tomorrow. Maybe we will.
Not
I don't know. This judge seems to be like, let's get this show on the road. I want everybody here on time. We're going to start on time. We're not going to be monkeying around. There's not going to be any shenanigans. Let's go, which I
and,
appreciate.
and we're going to be done by 3:30 or 2:30 every day.
Even though I said 4.
Yeah, right.
Because Allie and I were trying to figure out how we were going to cover it together. And we're like, okay, cool. So we're going to have court all the way till 4. That gives us time to absorb what we heard. Allie, has to make dinner for the kiddos and do all the mommy things. As, I'm just an empty nester running loose on these streets. So I don't have those ties anymore like I used
running
to.
wild.
Well, I'm running wild. I'm running loose and unmedicated. And so we're trying to figure out how we do it. And then here comes, Your Honor over here talking about, oh, it's 2:35. I think we should call it a day. What do y'all think? So
It's
yeah.
killing me, honestly.
Oh my God.
I'm like, oh man, she keeps ending like right whenever, because so I work now and doing all the things from home, and I have like different calls and stuff like that I schedule, and so I keep trying to schedule them strategically for when the breaks and lunches aren't, and then she's like, hey, so we're gonna end for the day, and I'm like, are you kidding me? So now
Yeah.
I put all my hours on night shift, and it sucks, but
There are other people, Your Honor.
yeah.
Sheesh.
She's just making sure she's getting out of there early every day, but I wasn't sure though. I'm glad that you said that
Oh, good Lord.
about uh the tip, because I wasn't sure how that was going to work, because she told us on Friday that we were looking at a situation where we could possibly close this week and hear closing arguments, and I that threw me off, since we were looking at this, tip that could potentially, help or derail things or whatever.
Right, right. Yes, today is Monday. We're going to hear about it. What did I say? Tomorrow, Tuesday.
You said Monday because I said Monday, but I meant to I tried to correct myself, but I did it like kind of quietly. But it was my fault. I'm sorry.
It is Monday. Okay. Shit.
Today's
Why
Monday,
does it
and
feel like Sunday?
well, today was a holiday. Most things weren't open, and a lot of schools weren't open. Of course,
But
my
I
kids
don't have
had
any.
school today.
Yeah, but I don't have kids that are in school anymore. I have no reason not to know today is Monday.
I don't know.
Not a valid reason, anyways. So, yeah. So, tomorrow being Tuesday, yes. Excuse me.
Mm.
No, you're right, Lil Red. Nobody has testified. This came in the arrest affidavit, right? Yes, from Johnson.
Yeah.
No, so nobody, and maybe this is, I don't know why. I mean, if he's on the witness list, this could be problematic, because the person who actually said it
It
didn't
was hearsay
testify
at that
to
point
it.
too. Mhm.
Right. Didn't actually say it. And then you have, and this would actually be hearsay, because I learned that not all the time is somebody telling something to another person always hearsay. It has to go to the truth of the matter, is
Mm.
what makes it hearsay. Because there are times when you can testify about conversations. Like there were times that Kayla was able to say what
Yep,
Adam
it
told
just
her,
happened.
which technically would be hearsay, except for in
It's
certain
not to find.
circumstances.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this would be to the truth of the matter. So Johnson would be only able to testify to what Travis Beach directly told him. But I'm confused about that. Why don't they get the testimony from Travis himself? If Travis told Johnson this is what Adam was doing, right? Then why not have Travis say that on the stand?
Right. Right.
I
I
hope
don't
that
know.
you guys think that Caroline will bring up Kayla admitting to also hitting Harmony in that
Yes.
proffer. I
Yes.
hope she does, because
Yes, she
I
will.
think that I don't. It's not that I want her to do a good job. I do want her to do her job defending Adam, because everybody deserves to be defended properly. But
Right.
it's not that I want anything except Kayla to be held accountable as well. So I hope that
Correct.
she does bring it up.
Doesn't
Correct.
it feel twisted though, Alex? Like you're sitting here and you're like almost rooting for the defense. And I feel so gross every time that I say this stuff on live streams. And like I do
Yeah.
not want people to think that I am on Adam's side at all.
Yes.
Like
That's
I
what I
No,
want
just was thinking.
to like,
we're not.
but it's just like at
Let
the
me.
same time, Kayla's
Yeah.
got to go, man, too.
Right. This is what we want for all of you out there in YouTube land that are going to listen to this now and then later. This is the ideal scenario for Alex, Sleuth Mom, and myself. We want the defense to do their job in that Adam does not have an ineffective assistance of counsel appeal. But at the same time, what we'd like to happen is that she elicits the testimony from Kayla that doesn't acquit Adam, but gets Kayla's proffer taken away from her. That is what we're hoping for. Adam and Kayla should both be punished for this. Period.
I agree.
That's what we would
Mhm.
I
like.
agree. And I think part of me is just like, Adam's not no matter what, he's not getting out.
No,
Right.
You
but
know what I mean?
still.
So at the end, and even with this concession, they're going to definitely add even more time with this. And then what else is in the future to come? Because there may be more there's just different reasons. I think that one being the way the agreement was written.
Mhm. And I fully believe that we're gonna be in a situation where if for some reason they don't think that Kayla perjured herself enough to remove her deal, I think that she is going to walk out of jail and be arrested and put right back in jail for something else, similar to what they did with Oakley Carlson's mom,
Mhm.
Jordan Bowers. They found something, like, they dug on her to find something to lock her up for, and, so if anybody out there has dirt on Kayla, make sure you're calling that in because they'll find they'll find a
Mm,
reason to keep her in there if they can't do it for this.
Right, and
yeah.
she's eligible for parole.
In
Okay,
May.
in
Yeah.
May. Eligible does not necessarily. Eligible just means that you have the ability to go in there and get a hearing. That does not necessarily mean that you will be granted parole. Although what I will say is this. Typically for parole, right, you need to admit your crime and you need to take accountability for it. And what would she be taking accountability for? Again, she's got no problem getting up on a stand and telling people she's a lying liar face who tells lies. So
Mhm.
there you go. You know, I don't, but I think for me personally, what I am bothered by is if Adam, even though Adam will likely, due to his other charges or convictions, not ever get out of jail prison again. It makes me sad if that would be the case, if he were to be found not guilty, if he were to be acquitted of this crime, because then it feels like nobody is paying for what they did to Harmony. And what I'm frustrated about,
Yeah.
I think Kayla should get in trouble for lying to the grand jury. You don't lie to a grand jury. They tell you that, period. But I also think that and I know for me personally, the fact that none of her charges are in relation to anything she did or did not do, because not doing something, not rendering aid is doing something, and
Oh yeah.
that are
Even the
related to
EBT,
Harmony. Hmm.
even the EBT card.
Right.
Right.
Right. But I think she should, at the end of the day, she admitted on the stand at least once to moving Harmony's body. And she should face charges for that at the minimum. When she took Harmony's body and put it in the stroller and walked her and those children over to Portland Pie Company, she, that is a charge that they could bring related to Harmony. And it's not enough for me personally, but it would at least be something. And I think that's the biggest problem that people are having with how this is shaken out. It's not that people don't understand that, without her testimony, they did not have enough to charge Adam. We all get that. It's the fact
Mhm.
that she's not facing any charges or any punishment in relation to anything having to do with Harmony, and that's what's wrong, in my opinion.
Right. And that was so disheartening for the Millers and stuff whenever they found that out, that there was nothing that they could do, and this was the only chance that they had to potentially get Harmony back so that they would have somewhere for Jameson to be able to go
Mhm.
and be able to pay his respects as he grew up. And so it's always been one of those devastating things that without Kayla, you know, they were always gonna be looking. They're
Right.
always gonna be looking. And at least this way they know her outcome because they were in a situation where Jameson was seeing little girls with blonde hair at the park and saying,
Oh, God
"Harmony,
love
Harmony,"
him.
And,
Mhm.
Aw.
it's just one of those things where they can tell Jameson, "Your sister's in heaven watching you now." And know for sure that that's what happened and not that, she was I mean, Crystal's sister was on there saying that she was sold, and, like, Crystal was starting to believe that, and they were looking for her, and they were saying that she was going under another name now, and, like, all of these different things were getting put out there, and it was just so much chaos and so much confusion in the beginning, trying to figure out what happened. I mean, you guys know how
Mhm.
true crime goes. We
Oh,
have
yeah.
hundreds of thousands of theories.
Right.
And so I don't know, but it was just the only way, and it sucks that that's how it worked out, but man, she deserves to be rotten right next to him.
Agreed.
I agree
So,
too.
but I am gonna
Agreed.
hop off. I do have to get up early in the morning. I
Yeah, me
appreciate you
too.
guys so much for having me on. Thank you, thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome,
so
babe.
glad you
Thanks for
came
coming.
on.
You come back. You have to come back. We got to do this again.
I will,
Yeah, agreed.
absolutely. I will talk
I
to you
loved it.
All
All
later.
right.
right.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you, Sleuth Mom.
Good
Bye.
night.
Good night,
Y'all
bye.
be sure and go subscribe over to Sleuth Mom's channel if you haven't already. She does good work over there. Well,
Yep,
Allie,
absolutely.
I think I'm going to let everybody go. Thank you for being here, babe. I love you so
Thank you
much.
for having me. I love you so much and thank you for having me. Before we go, Mayla's mom just sent me a screenshot that she looked it up on Justia, and
Mm-hmm.
it says abuse of a corpse is a misdemeanor.
In New Hampshire?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yep, that's pretty crazy. But anyways,
That's sad.
that's very sad because I don't know about in New Hampshire, but I know in West Virginia, I think over $1,000 of theft becomes a felony, you know, and it's like,
Right.
but abuse of a corpse, okay, whatever.
Right. That's messed up. All right, you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. It was a great chat, I thought. And you guys
Yes,
are
it
always so
was.
cool. Welcome to the new members. Thank you for the gifted memberships. I couldn't do it without you guys' support, and I appreciate it so very much. And I will see you guys tomorrow night over on Allie's channel. It will be her turn to be the hostess with the mostest, and we will recap what goes on tomorrow. All right. You guys have a great rest of your Monday night, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.